because not only did I not do enough, then I become, I am not enough. And then my whole self-worth gets involved. And the committee in my head starts having a meeting, and they are never kind to me, ever. And, I failed at work. And if I fail at work, then I failed my family. And if I failed my family, then I failed my clients. Then I failed the people I haven't even freaking met yet. And it becomes this whole thing, because I don't know if you have a committee that lives in your head. I do. And so that's the dirty part of not enough. I used to get high off of the work. Now I get more high off of what's happening when I'm not working. Okay. So are you building for freedom, or are you just building a more expensive cage? I'm not going to obsess over anything anymore because it steals my peace and it steals my joy. So grab a coffee, take a breath, and join the conversation.
Hi there, I'm Drew Walker.
And I'm Heidi Joy.
Welcome to Get Over It, where two friends have honest conversations about business, relationships, pressure, and the stories that we get stuck in.
Sometimes they're deep, sometimes they're ridiculous, but they're usually both.
Now, today's episode is called The Hustle. Are you ambitious or just afraid?
I already know that I'm going to hate this.
Why? Because high performers love calling fear drive.
Of course we do.
Yeah, I'm just focused. I'm just disciplined. I'm just in a season. I just need to push a little harder.
And meanwhile, their nervous systems are in a flippin' hostage situation.
Exactly.
So today we're asking the question, when is the hustle actually ambition? And when is it just fear wearing a blazer?
Okay, so now I'm feeling attacked by my own episode title.
Great. That's fantastic. That's a great place for us to start. That means it's working.
Did you lose the rest of it?
Let's start here. Where in your life right now are you calling hustle ambition when it might actually be fear, Drew?
So I definitely know quite a few areas: work, results, vacation, this whole little charming disaster that I'm calling my life.
Okay. Well, let's start there and let's know how we're going to work through this.
Well, so we came up with this actually, the idea for this episode hit me last night when I realized I was starting to have to think about going away on vacation. And then, and it's not even really a vacation. It's more of a work trip that has a little bit of vacation in it.
My God, you're
And,
already making excuses for it. I love that you've already started making excuses. Fantastic. Keep going. I'm sorry for interrupting.
and, but I noticed this anxiety welling up in me. And then I looked back on the day and I was like, well, I didn't make enough calls, and I just have this new CRM that's launched, and I've got all of this stuff that's going on, and I haven't really spent enough quality time with the husband, but he's going to come along on the work trip, so I'll be able to spend time with him. And I was just in this conversation for that. It's just never enough. It's never enough.
It's
And
never enough of what? Go deeper there, please.
well, I mean, it depends on the area. So I think that that's what I saw last night, is that it's either never enough results, it's never enough actions, it's never enough love, it's never enough attention.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Where is this metric stick that you're following? Like, who's never enough? Like, where's the scoreboard for this?
Right. Well, I mean, I think that that's the thing that we're talking about here, is that I think we all, performers anyways, or just people in general, I think we're always comparing ourselves to some yardstick that maybe doesn't actually exist, but that exists in our imagination. And that's really what I wanted to talk about today, is this concept of that it's never enough.
And we actually had a good friend of ours ask us, now that I'm thinking back, to talk about the hustle. right?
Yeah.
And when is enough enough? And
And what's
it's
really funny is that when they asked us to talk about that, I had no idea really what they were talking about. I was like, well, I don't, and so you have to get in a situation to really see it. So this concept of the hustle, I mean, sure, hustle exists in money, in work, in life, in all of those places. But then there's also these other areas of life, like our relationships, our physical health, leadership, where I am always asking myself, have I done enough? And not even realizing that I'm asking myself.
and then do you excuse it away in that that's just how I'm wired?
Well, yeah, because I mean, like you continue to always call me like a driver, like this thing from the disc profile, which I still don't really understand. But like that, I'm just wired to keep going and more, 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 more. And that's my whole life.
Okay.
And I don't want to make an excuse and say I'm never going to get out of that, but I do think that it's worth a conversation because I think that this is probably something that a lot of our listeners are dealing with in all of the different areas of our life, of their lives and our lives. So I thought we should dive in and pull this apart and really spend some good time on this.
All right, well, let's start. You talk that where it's bubbling up for you right now is in work, that you haven't done enough. When does this show up? Does it show up in the morning? Does it show up in the afternoon? Like, when does this show up for you?
Well, I mean, the first time that it shows up is I think it shows up literally all day long sometimes. So
Okay.
there's days where I can wake up and I'm already behind for whatever reason. I don't know why that is. I don't know what triggers that, and I don't know if you've ever experienced that. There I am. The alarm will go off. I'll wake up and I'll say, okay, well, this morning, as an example, I had promised some friends that I was going to go and play pickleball with them, and I haven't seen them in forever. And yet I had also promised you that I was going to record this episode this morning. And I knew that I needed to take the time to prepare the episode, and I didn't want to blow them off. So then I rearranged things. I get to pickleball, I'm on the court, and my friend, who I haven't seen in 3 weeks, then she tells me, yeah, I'm sorry I didn't see you like for the last 3 weeks. My birthday party was on Wednesday. So there I am in another conversation for, gosh, I missed the mark there and I'm feeling more behind there. She invites me to go out tonight for like the closing essentially of like her birthday week. And I'm not going to be able to go to that. So I think it starts in the morning. Then sometimes I'll encounter it in the afternoon. Like I can have a super productive day. Yesterday, I was at my computer until 6 o'clock and I'm staring at the new CRM that we just got uploaded, which I'm really excited about it. And the team is really excited about. And yet now I have a list of 800 people that as I start to go through it, I'm realizing, wow, like I haven't talked to these people in the way that I need to talk to them. And I go into this spiral about, gosh, that means like I don't have a relationship with them anymore. And like I got to do all this stuff. So, anyways, to pause, what I started to see is that there are two different worlds of not enough. And you and I talked about this a little bit this morning before we
The
recorded.
clean and the dirty.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the clean not enough is really, really valuable. And what did we come up with here?
Well, there's the clean that we didn't make enough calls to make the goal. There's the clean, I need to correct something, right? Like there's different versions of the clean, real, not enough.
Yeah.
And then the dirty side of, for me at least, the dirty side of not enough then falls into fear and to shame because not only did I not do enough, then I become I am not enough. And then my whole self worth gets involved. And the committee in my head starts having a meeting, and they are never kind to me ever. And, I failed at work. And if I fail at work, then I failed my family. And if I failed my family, then I failed my clients. Then I failed the people I haven't even freaking met yet. And it becomes this whole thing because I don't know if you have a committee that lives in your head. I do. And so, like, that's the dirty part of not enough. And
Yeah.
I think there's a real difference.
I think there's a real difference, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but there's a real difference. And I think there's a lot of us that we have been programmed that life is about doing more. And if I want to have a big, full life, I need to do more. And that's accurate. There's an
Okay,
accuracy to
where
that.
did like I know where mine came from. Where did yours come from?
I think mine came from when I was in my 30s and I was leading programs for a company called Landmark. And there was this whole concept of that you always need to be making the plate that you're living your life on bigger. Like it's always about like, if you can't get everything done, just make a bigger plate. You're going to expand yourself. We're going to continue to expand you. And I think that's where mine came from. Where did yours come from?
No, mine absolutely came from childhood, right? Like my people don't sit. Like they don't sit. They don't rest. They don't
You mean
relax.
by your people, you mean Germans?
No, I mean, yes, Germans, because they're my family. Like I was not modeled relaxation. I was modeled doing, being productive, having results. That was what was modeled for me. And that also kind of, I think that's where my scoreboard came from. So relaxing was like, that's something I've literally had to learn how to do as an adult, which may sound strange to some people. But like, I joke all the time. I don't sit well.
Mm.
And it's not a place of I don't like being alone with myself. I do, but I also look at, have I been productive enough even on a day off, right? Have I done enough of the whatever stuff, like home stuff that I need to do? And then when I'm doing the home stuff, my mind starts to wander back to the work stuff that I didn't get done. And it's this place of never truly being where your feet are, which sucks. Let's just be honest. It
Yeah.
sucks.
I don't mean to bandwagon, but I am also going to say I do remember. So, my dad, when I was growing up, it would always be a race to the finish of dinner. So, who could eat dinner the fastest so that then we could go
Yes.
outside and chop the
Mm.
wood, mow the lawn, do the things. And incidentally, to this day, my husband makes fun of me all the time because I'm always the first one that's done with my plate. Even when we're at a really great dinner and a great experience that we should enjoy, I'm rushing to finish dinner so that I can get out the door and mow the lawn. Even though there's no lawn to mow anymore, we've got the landscaper for that. But so, where it comes from, maybe that's a good conversation to engage in. And I'm definitely interested in that. And I want to talk about that more. But I think more for the people in our world and the people that listen to this podcast, it really struck me when we just very cleanly distinguished that there is this clean version of not enough, which is very reality based. There's a reality that we live in called, in order for me to produce X result in the business, I have to have had this many conversations, which will lead to this many appointments, which will lead to et cetera, like on and on down the line. That is very reality based and measurable. But then I think where we screw it all up and where I screw it all up is that even and using work, I think is a great place to dive in and start first. Even when I've had the conversations, well, then I look for those conversations weren't good enough. Or then I look
Hmm.
for, well, I have the conversations, but the business pipeline isn't where it needs to be. Or like I said, with the new CRM, oh, well, they're not all on, like, not everybody's information is accurate and perfect. And not all of them are getting automated messages. And I haven't followed up and had an equity review with the hundreds of clients that I've had. Like there's clients in this database that I literally don't think I've talked to in years. And now all of a sudden I'm a fraud.
Wow. I mean, I don't even know what to say to you when you tell me that you're a fraud because you're the opposite of that. And I think that always, right? We have the internal messages that we tell ourselves, the conversations that we have, and then we have the outside world that looks at us, and they're dramatically different, right? The way that I see myself and the way that other people see me is usually really different. And I absolutely know the way you see yourself and the way I see you are like night and day pictures, night and day. And I don't want to go on a tangent about age, but I think, with age comes experience. And I sometimes, when I'm talking to you and listening to you, I'm like looking at my 45-year-old self. And I've learned over the years to give myself a little bit more grace. I've also had wonderful opportunities to start over so many times that I think I'm becoming a professional at it. I'm not really interested in doing it anymore, but I know and understand what, like, where you are and what you're feeling.
Yeah.
So I think the next question is, okay, it's happening at work. Is it happening anywhere else, Drew? Is it happening with relationships, money? Like, where else is it showing up for you?
Well, hang on. We'll get there. But I have a question for you. So, given the wisdom that you have now, before we move on from work, how do you wrestle with the question of where is the line for you between I've done enough and now I'm just throwing myself in for the sake of hustling because I don't feel like how have you figured that out?
It's taken a lot of work, to be honest. A lot of work. And it slips away sometimes, but I always come back to kind of my North Star and my center, which for me is, can I get peaceful? Right? Can I stop and get peaceful? While I don't sit well, I do know how to stop now. And I I give myself the grace to stop. And I talk about this all the time. Like, I could do more. I could sell more houses. I could sell a hell of a lot more houses, right? I absolutely could. But I'm okay where I am. I'm okay with the life that I've created. Do I want more? Yeah. But do I want what I wanted when I was 35, 45? No, I don't. Because the quality that I get in the off times, if you will, or the family times or the personal times is, I get more high off of that now than I do the work. I used to get high off of the work. Now I get more high off of what's happening when I'm not working.
I think that's a really interesting thing that you said. Do you think that the hustle is all about chasing that high?
Oh,
That
absolutely. For me, 100%. Now, so I still get the high at work, right? So, like, I've gone on a couple of appointments. We've gotten all of the listings. We were winning, winning, winning. I've learned to listen to my body really, like, really, really strongly. Like, things start to buzz. I call it the high. It is the natural high that happens when things are going the way that they should, right? My definition of should. Like, you really feel like you're winning. And of course you chase that high. But now I've found the high in the other things where I could never even remotely see that before.
Yeah. I so for me, what I just saw so very clearly is that I am only fulfilled when I'm taking action. And rest is a very uncomfortable space for me, just to
Mhm.
rest and to recharge. It's like I don't trust that I've done the work to deserve resting. And that and I don't know when that started. I don't know how to get back there, but I really think like I need to learn that the rest actually sets me up to then go back and take more action.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if you need to put a Post-it note on your forehead or something that the rest is what makes you better at work. No, I'm serious. And I've been blessed with some wonderful things that happen in my head after I do too much work. And like, I can't anymore. Like, even if I wanted to, I can't. And I have to stop. I have to rest. I have to move around and do something different. I physically cannot do what I used to do. And it's in the rest, it's in the disconnect that everything becomes better in all areas that I quote unquote want to hustle in.
Yeah. This book that I really need to read again that my husband read many years ago, it's called, oh gosh, I really wish we had a producer to help me with this right now. The Lord, I'm not going to remember it. We're going to have to just move on so that I can put it in the show notes. It's, but it's something about like that your energy is more important than your time. And I really used to practice that. And it's like ever since COVID and working from home, all of the boundaries went out the window. And now I'm going to use discipline and doing things maniacally and the way that they need to be done over and over and over again, like almost as like a punishment of myself. It's like discipline doesn't provide a lot of
Not
freedom for
almost
me
like a
anymore.
punishment. You punish yourself if you feel like you haven't been disciplined enough.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm starting to sweat, so maybe we should move on to the next area of the conversation.
When you sweat, I like it when you get uncomfortable because you do it to me all the time. So it shows up at work. Um, Tell me about another area in your life that you feel like it really strongly shows up for you.
Okay, so I want to talk about money next because I think this is like a very obvious, easy area for most people to see themselves in a conversation for not enough and hustle and ambition. So, my question for you is, was there ever a number that you had in mind when you were growing up that you thought
Of
you got
course.
that number? Okay,
Of
what was the number?
course.
What was the
Every
number?
just like every other little baby agent person, right? I can't wait till I can make $100,000. Yay! And I know
Was
that
it
like
enough?
it was enough the first year that I hit it, and then it was like, it was literally like, wow, that was super easy. Now I want to double it. I never want to incrementally change something. I always want to double it.
So, like, do you think that your money goal now is connected to desire or fear?
Ooh. So now I think it's more desire. It absolutely was fear for most of my life. Now it's, again, I'm on I don't know that I wouldn't say that I'm in the third quarter, but I'm definitely not in the first half anymore.
You're in the second half. You're in the second
For
half.
sure.
I think we're both in the second half. That's fair. I'm 45. We're in the second half.
So I think it's more about desire. And what I mean by that is the comfortability, the being able to actually relax, it's not about money for the sake of money. It's for what can it do for me? What can it do for my family? What can it do for others? Does it allow me to be, charitable? Does it allow me to help others? Like one of my favorite things to do is go out to eat and leave the server an absolutely insanely large tip. And I just, cause that's what I did, right? When I was young. And there were times that it was just my daughter and I, and sometimes those big tips was the game changer for the week, right? And now I'm in a place that I can do that for somebody else, and it just feels amazing.
So for you, now money is about like, it's enough when you have the ability to actually give it away to other people. Yeah. I mean, do you know how much that takes? Like, so I get, well, it doesn't really sound like this is an area that kind of trips you up much anymore. And I know that like we all have money problems and there's all of that, but it seems like you're in a really good place about money and you're not in a hustle conversation about that.
No, I absolutely am. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. Like we had a massive market shift. I'm building a very expensive house. I'm spending a lot of money. It's not I don't like it so much, but I also have to go back to that faith piece that works for me. I have to go back and look at the evidence locker that I keep of times that I've been here before, right? Not to this scale, but I've been here before and I got through it. this will be no different. I just have to keep going.
Yeah. For me, I think I've gone through so many phases. And hang on, I want to go back to what you said there. We'll edit that out. What am I trying to say? I think that there's areas where each of us presents like we're not in a conversation for not enough, but maybe deep down we still always are, was the point that I was making. Like, in other words, like one of the things that I really admire about you is that you don't seem to get messed up about money publicly. But I do know that you're dealing with things just like we all are. I mean, your market did fall apart and you do have to rebuild your house. And that is costing you a fortune. And I can only imagine that that stresses you out. And it's,
But yet, but yet it doesn't because of my life's experience, because of having literally nothing multiple times as an adult. Didn't happen once, didn't happen twice. I have
you're
to
a
just no, I just have again, I goes back to that faith and I call it my evidence locker for all things, right? And money's just one of them. I've been here before. I'll get out of it again and I will become richer on the other side. And I don't mean just richer monetarily, but richer in lessons, richer in relationships, richer in, all things.
well, I can just say that I wish that I feel like I had that wisdom. My story is a little bit different in that I feel like for most of my fees, I never really knew what enough what was or what it would be. And it was always about like growing my income. And then before I knew it, my lifestyle would creep. And then my expenses had caught up with my income. And then
Mhm.
I was over leveraged. And then I realized that like, oh, I don't know that there's ever going to be a number where it's enough. It becomes more about how am I living my life day to day and what am I able to spend my time on? Who am I able to spend time with? So maybe I have had a little bit of a realization in that area. I should give myself a little bit more credit. But it does seem like this is an area where you go through a different phase in every decade of your life.
And for you, you're getting more evidence to put in your locker because what does your chase for the almighty dollar cost you in other areas of your life? Like, can you think of a few things?
Yeah, well, absolutely. When I'm focused on work and money, I completely disregard things like the relationships that are really important to me, which is really funny because in the relationships that are really important to me, namely my marriage, the actions that I take towards making money are to provide myself and my husband with a better life. So it's this wild paradox that over here in money, not enough. Why is it not enough? Because maybe there's some secret fear that I have that, and I know that this is not true, but that if I don't make enough, my husband will leave me. That's absolutely not true. But I think for me, somewhere along the way, we start to have these thoughts in the background that are, if I don't have this handled, people are going to leave me.
Okay. So are you building for freedom or are you just building a more expensive cage?
I think it's a more expensive cage.
Mhm.
And I think I finally had that realization last year. And then you and I worked through me selling off all of the doors on the cage, all of the different houses and all of the things to get back to a place where my life was much more about the day to day experience and not the accumulation. And I don't know, like that, it's not as though I have everything figured out in that area by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not like Buddha on a mountaintop here, like, oh, I've had this realization. But I will say that for me, getting clear that money was never going to make me happy and there would never be enough money to make me happy allowed me to go and then focus on building something bigger and deeper with my husband, with my friends, in my community, with my team, the people that I lead, creating this relationship with you, starting this podcast, because it's got to be about something else. And you're right. I totally built a more expensive cage.
So I want to dig in. You talked about money, and then you talked about why you're working for this amazing life with your husband. When do you feel like you haven't given him enough? Do you move towards repairing that, or do you move into panic?
That depends on the day. Generally into panic.
Okay,
Generally into panic.
and then what happens?
It depends on the situation. So this morning we're talking about what to do for Mother's Day. And I know that he's really struggling with what, or not struggling with, but he's really trying to choose what is going to be the best thing to do for Mother's Day. And I feel like I wasn't really able to be present in that conversation. So then I go into panic of like overcompensating, like, oh, well, we can do this and maybe this is the right solution. So generally, I think I lean into panic is the answer to your question.
So I love how you just jump in and you're trying to figure it all out. Do you actually ask him what he needs, or do you just create this panic thing in your head and then try to fix it?
I
Did you
create the
ever
panic thing in my
actually
head.
ask him what he needed?
I create the panic thing in my head and then I try to fix it instead of finding out what enough is. I just got that. Like asking
Well,
the question and finding out what he needs and what's going to be enough for him. You're laughing at me.
so like it brings us back to, are you really loving him, or are you trying to manage his disappointment, right? And you're married, I'm not. I can relate to all of this in, parenting an adult child, right? So my daughter will say something to me. She didn't ask me anything. She was just talking to me. I was supposed to just listen. But I go into fix it mode and whatever the case may be. I didn't ask her, did she need anything from me? I didn't ask her if she wanted my input, or she just wanted me to listen. And that was like a real question that I had to learn to ask her. And now I've started asking it to my friends. Do you just need me to be a sounding board, or do you want my input?
Mm. I'm going to start asking that question because I think when we don't ask that question, we end up in this trying to overcompensate. And there's like an overfunctioning that happens in the relationship. Like with you and your daughter, I imagine that then you go into this, I'm going to fix all of the problems mode.
No,
And
I have learned, right? Is this me listening, or do you want my opinion, and do we want to try to fix this? I ask, like, cuz it's very frustrating when you just want to be heard. You don't want to be fixed. And I have some fix it people in my life, and I will literally start the conversation with, do not fix me. Just listen. I need to vent. I need to bitch, and I need to complain. And I just need you to hear me. And
I
they
wonder
know.
for how many of the people that are listening, they can identify with either being in the category of someone who tries to fix everything or will just listen and be with the other person so that they can fix it themselves. Like, where do we default? And if we're defaulting into the trying to fix it, it's part of this conversation for it's never enough. And I'm going to overcompensate for something. Yeah. Could we switch to a topic that I think you might have a lot to say about, which is about like vitality and I'm going to say appearance and body and like, dare I use the word like aging?
Lord,
Yeah.
sure.
So like, if you think about that aspect of your life, I mean, I have so many questions for you because obviously, like you're very put together. And I think on the surface to everybody else, everybody, I would say that people are like, Heidi Joy's got her shit together. Like she's got her shit together. But like, are you, over the course of time, would you say that you are caring for yourself or auditing yourself?
It depends on where I am on the roller coaster, right?
What do you mean by that?
I'm caring for myself, I'm auditing myself. I'm caring for myself, I'm auditing myself. Like it's a roller coaster. And, for example, I tend to weigh myself every day. Drive some people crazy that I weigh myself every day. I've done it for a very, very long time. Sometimes those numbers go up, sometimes those numbers go down. And when they're going down, I feel really, really great. When they're going up, I don't feel so great. So there's there's different times in my life that I take better care of myself. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm very very grateful for all of the stuff that the doctors and scientists and whoever the hell have figured out how to make us look better, live longer, supplement this, that or the other thing. Because if it works and it gives me, like you said, more vitality or, longevity, I'm in.
I mean, my friends tell me like that I'm one of those people that's aging in reverse. And I kind of love that. I love that. But now I'm noticing that as I'm getting a little bit older and I'm looking in the mirror and I'm starting to see the circles around my eyes and the crow's feet getting a little bit more pronounced and the forehead lines and all of those things. Like, whereas before, I was never in a conversation for, is my appearance enough? Or I think maybe I was in a different conversation. It was some version of, uh, I'm not masculine enough, or I don't have enough muscle tone, or like I'm too short, or I'm too
Too
much of a
short.
nerd,
What the heck are
or
you talking about?
I'm 5'11". I could never say that I was 6'1", ever. It always bothered me.
All right.
Always bothered me. And like there's also the like for me, my version of it in terms of appearance and body and presentation is like I'm not enough of a man.
Wow. Because of the way that you feel or because of the way that you look?
I think it's because of the culture that I was kind of lumped into. When you're growing up in this country and you figure out that you're attracted to other men, there's kind of like a culture that then I think the gay community makes you a part of, or that you just sort of find yourself in by default. And at the risk of offending people, I don't know, like I've never been attracted to men who are feminine. And so,
That's why
I
you're
don't know.
attracted to me because I have a lot of masculine energy.
Yeah, there's that for sure. Like, and I don't mean to get really heavy about it, but like mostly what I find myself doing now in my phase is I'm trying to move as far away from having feminine qualities and much more into having masculine qualities. And like it's this constant pursuit of that for me. And I don't know whether that's good or bad. And I think probably everybody goes through their own thing. But for me, I am always wrestling with the question of like, am I a man enough? Like, am I enough of a man? And I
I
wondered like,
think
so
I think led with masculine energy. That's how I get stuff done. That is how I command a presentation. Was kind of how I parented. I have very masculine energy. And I have learned over time that actually people like me a lot better when I'm in my little bit softer feminine energy, right? Still use both of them. Like I'm not consciously using them, but it's just part of who I am. And some people are built with more energy than another. Because I also think, and I hate that this is a thing for you, but like when you call it your feminine energy, I love about you. Like I love that about you. Because when you're in your super, super masculine, it's like having two of me. I don't need that.
what you're saying is you need me to be the woman. Is that what you're saying?
No, but like there's this, I don't know, there's this softness, there's this safeness, there's this, I don't know, there's this comfortable place to be real and vulnerable and honest. And when you're too, because some of that masculine energy too is closed off. It is not inviting, right? Feminine energy for me is a little bit more opening, welcoming. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. And I think that maybe you're right. There's probably a whole other episode that we need to record here on the dichotomy between masculine energy and feminine energy. This whole kind of cultural conversation about, that we went through many, many years where there was the concept of toxic masculinity. And I don't know, maybe I'm just rebelling against that. And I'm still in the rebellion against that, where I want to embrace masculinity and look towards more of that. But I think we're off topic probably. And we're
Yeah,
not
but
really.
are we off topic because you said I don't feel like I'm man enough? That's a whole thing, and you feel like you're falling short. So when is enough going to be enough for you? Like, have you defined what man enough is? And let me know when you get there so that we can check that box off, because I know that you like to check boxes.
And I think that is a great place to look at any one of these areas. Is enough for what? Like, and I asked myself that question here in the moment, enough man for what? For my husband? For this persona that I'm supposed to have, for my clients, for my family? Or is it enough man for myself? And I think maybe and I don't know, like, do I really need to sit down like with a therapist or with like a notebook or like in a prayer with God and really ask the question, like, what is man enough, or what is enough results in work, or what is enough quality time with the husband? I,
So
I
I
also
think
kind of,
that's a question of how do you typically, when you're struggling with something, gain clarity? What is your process that you go through to gain clarity? Is it notebook, God, quiet time? Is it meditation? What is it for you? Right?
Mm,
Because I think that when we're in this place of it's not enough work, not enough of whatever, right? Like that is when we're in the absence of clarity. And when we can get clear on something and we can define what it is, right? Then we either decide we're going there or we're not going there. We're going to stay right where we are because where we are is okay.
mm,
And that takes me back to like you talked about health and fitness and vitality and blah, blah, blah. Well, let me just tell you that getting older as a woman is not super fun. Like you are worried about some stupid crow's feet. Well, honey, I got a lot more going on than just crow's feet. And, you know, when am I going to feel like my body is sufficient enough for my age?
mm,
Because I'm looking at comparing myself to the 30-year-old me. Well, the 30-year-old me didn't go through all the things that the 57-year-old me has. And, I've like I said, I weigh myself every single day, but that's for my monitoring. It's not because I'm obsessed with my weight, it's just for my monitoring. And you know what? I've just learned to accept that this is what it looks like. I'm going to do the best that I can to keep fit, but I'm not going to obsess over it. I'm not going to obsess over anything anymore because it steals my peace and it steals my joy.
We're going to mark. Okay. So, with all of the things that we've talked about here, I think the thing we haven't touched on yet is what is this new cultural phenomenon that's driving us all in this exacerbated conversation for not enough? And I think it's social media.
Oh,
And it's a world that we live in. It's this thing that we have to do. It's how we all connect. It's how we all get our news. It's how we maintain
hmm
relationships. And yet, we're we're now in this conversation for, am I visible enough?
and I mean, this is where it shows up that there is an actual legit scoreboard because, like, you can go into your analytics and you can see.
Yeah. So in that area, what is enough visibility? Like, where do we get off the train of that? I don't know.
Well, I'm in a season of being invisible again, right? I've realized that I haven't shared a lot of me lately, and I I share parts of me for different reasons. A, so that people know who I am before they meet me. Um, the goofy me shares that because I want to make people laugh and I want to make people smile. And then all of a sudden I realize that, oh my God, I haven't posted anything in for I don't even know how long.
When's the last time that you actually posted on social media on your own?
On my own?
Yeah, that's
Does it
not
count if
connected with our podcast.
does it count if I was in it? I didn't actually push the buttons.
See,
S
I go through feast or famine on this, and I don't think that I've actually posted anything in like over a week, maybe even 2 weeks.
Yeah, it had been a really long time and it was bothering me. So, like, I got in the car the other day with Lexi and I just held up my camera and I asked her what she wanted for Mother's Day. And we got into this conversation and it ended up being absolutely freaking hilarious. And like, we had over 5,000 people view it in like a couple of hours that were our non-followers. I have no idea who the hell we are. That stuff is fascinating to me, but I am definitely not going to like whatever. I'm just going to show up as me. If it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I mean, I can't find one more thing to get wrapped around the axle about. But I know that there are a lot of people out there that literally sit with their whatever device that they're using and they're looking and oh my God, how many likes did I get? How many views did I get? Oh, that's torture. That's absolute torture.
So I just saw something. I think that this concept of the hustle and are we ambitious or afraid? Like I look at my life as like I only have so many areas that I can give attention to. And because I'm sitting here thinking, well, social media and like my scrolling, like looking through what other people are doing, sure, that does like drive this concept of I'm not doing enough. And yet, I actually mostly recoil from social media. I pull myself away because I know that I'm not ever going to be competitive in that space. It's like it, and I don't even know that it's because I know that I'm not going to be competitive in that space. That's like what I'm trying to say is that there's all of these other areas of my life where I'm struggling to be enough. Work, money, my relationship, my friendships, my appearance, all that, that it's kind of like my battery's empty. It's not that I don't care, but it's almost that I'm resigned about my level of participation in that area. So maybe I say that to make myself feel better about that I'm not doing anything. Maybe that's all just a ruse to cover up the fact that I know that I need to be participating there more. But it actually does really help. Like enough for me in social media is that I'm there and that I occasionally show up and do something cute or funny or intelligent or that I add value. I can't be everywhere doing everything. And I think that's one area where, like, you know, how you mentioned, like, you've gone through these phases in life and you've started to like add to your knowledge base. Like, I feel like social media is an area where maybe I grew up fast because I'm not obsessed with it. I'm not
So
interested.
there's a place where you found you're enough, right? You know that you could do more. You know that you could do quote unquote better, but you don't care. You're happy. You're happy with your level of engagement, whatever. And you've gotten to your enough space there, right? Can you see that?
Yeah. So I wonder if for the people that are listening, if you think about these different areas that we've been talking about, work, money, romantic relationships, family, raising children, appearance, lifestyle, vitality, all of that. If there's one area where you feel like I've kind of got that area handled and I'm not in a struggle there, what can you learn from that area that then you could then apply to the rest? Because like what I'm really seeing right now is I clearly have figured out what enough is for me in social media.
So you have the clarity there, right?
I
That goes
have the
back
clarity.
to that goes back to the when we're unclear, right? When we have lack of clarity, That's when we get all jumbled up, right? And you've made the decision that even though you're not the best, the most followed, the most whatever the language is around social media, that you're okay with where you are, and enough is enough for you in that category.
Yeah. Like I had thoughts along the way. Wouldn't it be great if I had 10,000 followers or 100,000 followers? And I don't know, maybe that's where the podcast might lead us. Don't know. But if that doesn't happen, I'm okay because
Because
all these other areas are.
your self-worth is not tied to your social media following. Is that what I'm hearing you say? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure not.
So, out of the categories that we talked about, which would you say is the most prevalent of enough is not enough right now?
Work. And then how that work, my relationship with my husband, and the balance between this concept of work life balance, which is always a balancing act. And I think that those are areas that I think probably everybody struggles with. I wonder, so if I look at social media and okay, I'm like, you know what? I don't need to have 10,000 followers there. Maybe in my work, you know, I don't need to keep getting bigger and better.
Who are
I
you
feel like I'm
getting
talking in
bigger
circles.
and better for?
What's that?
Who are you getting bigger and better for?
Yeah, exactly. For who? For me.
And for what?
Don't know.
Isn't that interesting?
Hmm.
So, deciding when enough is enough, taking that quiet time to work to get the clarity. I think that there will, just my opinion, I think there will always be areas in our life that enough will never be enough because of, like, I'm a driver, right? Like, I can't imagine a day where enough is completely enough in all categories. Like, I can't imagine that. I'm going to figure out how to roll my freaking wheelchair faster when I'm in the nursing home. I mean, I know. There's going to be some kind of challenge there and I'm going to want to win it. It's just who I am. But there are other areas where I've gotten to enough is enough and it's okay.
Yeah. I think the thing that I'm really seeing is like enough is not a number. It's about determining who actually gets to say what the standard is.
And I think that's
And
you.
I get to say what the standard is for me. You get to say what the standard is for you. And each of our listeners gets to say what the standard is for them. And going way back to the beginning of our conversation, the concept of the clean standard and the dirty standard, I think we've really gone all the way down to the bottom of that dirty standard. All that does is create shame. And the clean standard is what actually allows us to get to that clarity that you talked about. And if we can keep it in a conversation for reality, not for how we feel about it and our fears about it, then maybe this concept of hustle could actually empower us.
I think it can. Just like anything else, put in proper framework, it can help us grow. It can make us feel better about ourselves instead of worse cuz I'm kind of tired of feeling worse, right? Oh, I think that if I'm going to make sure that I'm using a filter every single time that for the next week, I'm making a commitment that I am going to use a filter of everything that I do. Am I doing something to chase to be enough? Or am I doing it really because it needs to be done?
Mm,
And for just 1 week, I'm going to use that filter and I will report back.
great. I think the filter I'm going to use what you just said is, if I can steal that, I'm going to ask myself, am I doing this because it's going to make me healthier, happier, and wiser? Or am I doing this to push myself and discipline myself into something because I'm not where I want to be. Like, is this thing that I'm going to do going to make me healthier, wealthier, and wiser?
And not being where you want to be is okay forever in my book, right? Like, I don't ever want to be there because when I'm there, I'm dead, right? But not the obsessive, I'm not where I want to be yet.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think maybe getting over it in the context of this episode means actually that I can still be committed, like I can still have standards, but that I don't get to make every single thing that's not done and all of the things that I could do be some like thing that I get to hold against myself.
Yeah, you can stop whipping yourself with the wet noodle now. You're
Great. Okay. That is good news. And on that note, I think we want to thank our listeners for listening. And we want to say that if this conversation's been really valuable for you, or if you know someone out there in the world who they are caught in the hustle trap, maybe they are saying that they're ambitious, but really there's a few things that they're afraid of. Maybe you could share this episode with them and they might get something out of it.
Yes, please share because that is how we grow.